Brad Porter here with my weekly Sunday update. And my old Netscape colleagues will maybe recognize the backdrop here. This fountain is 501 East Middlefield, the original Netscape headquarters. There's a new startup here called Gen. Hopefully security's not going to come and chase me off. But I want to talk today about something that doesn't get talked about much, which is money and success and drive, and what drives us. So I showed up. I actually remember sitting right here waiting for my first internship interview. Was pretty nervous. Spring of 1996. I interned twice for Netscape, and then I joined Netscape full-time in February of 1998. Netscape had just gotten beat up by the markets, and the share price was $19 a share. And fortunately, I joined right then, and so my options were priced quite nicely. In just a year, my stock value had gone up 3.6 times. So I showed up here, as I recall, about $1,500 in the bank and about $32,000 in debt. I just finished my bachelor's and master's at MIT, had a lot of student loans, leased a car at Hopkins Honda, a 1998 Honda CRV, and I started working. And I worked on NetCenter. I worked on building the Netscape NetCenter portal, which was a big part of what AOL ended up acquiring Netscape for. So in a year, I exercised and sold my options within 90 days of leaving. I didn't stay with the AOL acquisition. And I put $60,000 in the bank. I promptly paid off my student loans, promptly paid off my car, and had about $20,000 still sitting in the bank. That was where I started, right? I've been working since I was 14. My parents helped me a little bit with school, but otherwise I made it all, right? I went to Tellme. Tellme, I had employee number 5. I had, equity at fractions of a penny. We sold that company 8 years later for $800 million. If you had invested at the same time that I started, you'd have had an 80x return in 8 years, right? 10 million was what I remember was the original, to 800 million. Then, instead of joining Microsoft when Tellme was acquired, I went to Amazon at $33 a share. I left Amazon 13 and a half years later at $3,300 a share. So if you'd invested alongside me starting at Amazon, you'd have made 100x in 13 and a half years. I left Amazon. I joined Scale AI because I wanted to get back into the hypergrowth craziness. I'm recording this week because I'll give you a little bit, but joined Scale in August 2020. Scale just exited, just paid out 5 years later, 15x. The point is, I'm kind of known as this very, pragmatic engineer, works my butt off, just tries to deliver. But there's a drive, right? There's a drive that it's not all about financial, but there's a piece to it, which is, look, you can't make a bigger return than by being part of the startup ecosystem in Silicon Valley. Now, I invested in the NEO portfolio very early because I believed in NEO's thesis, which is, Ali Partovi will talk about if he had just invested in his friends, right? If you'd put $1 in me, right, at Netscape, and then reinvested that each time, and still paid 20% capital gains each time, that dollar would be worth $180,000 now, 27 and a half years later, right? Because impactful people can do impactful things. Now, let me talk about, I've strung together 4 successes. I'm obviously on my 5th right now. Cobot's going to be the biggest of them all. The reason, I think, I'm going to give you my investment thesis. What do I invest my time in? Because I'll tell you, I haven't put $1 I maybe put $1 in Tell Me and put about $1 in Cobot at the beginning. I put my sweat into these companies. I've been really actually quite cautious and disciplined on the financial side to make sure that I'm stable and good indefinitely. But what I did, right, was here's how I picked, right? Here's my thesis for picking winners, because I don't know how many people picked 4 in a row, and I'm certainly going on 5 right now. What I picked, look, I didn't pick based on people. Everyone says pick founder. I don't know. That's not how I pick. I look at it and say, do I believe there are a lot of customers in this space? And usually I have some early lead, right? I was using the internet at MIT in college before web browsers came along. And so I knew the internet was going to be big. When I went to Tell Me, I built NetCenters. I knew there was huge amount of demand for news and information and the type of content we could put on the phone. I knew you could build a browser for it. And I knew enterprises would need that capability as well. When I went to Amazon, it's because I knew that based on work I had done at Tell Me, that there were big customers, big banks who wanted to get off of on-premise architectures onto the cloud. And so I knew the cloud architecture was going to be big. When I went to scale, it's because I knew data labeling was absolutely critical to the foundation of AI. And when I started Cobot, it's because I knew exactly the type of robots commercial environments are going to need. So I always knew the market was big. I also knew that it was hard, because frankly, it wasn't interesting to me as an engineer if it wasn't hard. But it also wasn't interesting to me as an engineer if it was impossible, right? And I think this is where sometimes investors maybe get off track a little bit. I'm certainly seeing this in robotics. There's hard and there's impossible, right? And look, I get some people will say, hey, this wasn't impossible after the fact. I don't know. There's some things that are very, very, very hard. And if you can't see a path, frankly, to me, if you can't see a path to building it in 18 to 36 months, it's too long. You're going to run out of money, like period. I don't know. Maybe I'm caught again. Some people can just raise billions and billions of dollars to go on indefinitely. I don't know. I look at, there's a big market opportunity. There's money to be made right now. There's technology that needs to be built in the next 18 to 24 months. It's hard. Not everyone's going to be able to build it. And then is it a platform? Every one of the companies I've been at, Netscape, Tell Me, Amazon, Scale, and now Cobot are platforms, right? Because platforms have leverage. You can use them in multiple ways. And so I'm super proud of the success because I've built impactful companies. I would say the last ingredient is, can I make an impact on this company? So it's been less about who's the founder, who am I following, forget it. I care about myself, right? Can I make an impact on this company, right? Can I help this company to achieve that market, to win that market? And I think with the track record, Netscape, top browser, Tell Me, top early cloud company, Amazon, obviously, top Scale AI, top data labeling. Cobot is absolutely, in my opinion, the top robotics company, going to be the top robotics company for a long, long time. So a little bit different energy today because I'm super proud of what we've done, and I'm usually really subdued, really humble, really pragmatic. And, I think sometimes people mistake that for passive or calm or not driven or not ambitious, just because this is a positive sum world, things get done better together. It's better for everybody in the ecosystem if we partner versus kind of drag out, compete. Doesn't change the level of intensity or the drive. And so that's what's driven me. That's my story. That's my background. This one's a little longer. Hope you all like it. Thank you.